Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would kind of start a new segment because I had a subscriber come on my Facebook fan page yesterday and say, hey Jason, I want to make a video discussing the results I've gotten following your advice. It'd be cool if I do that. And I'm like, yeah man, of course it would be. And it's a subscriber by the name of Chandiwira, and I probably am going to say that wrong. You guys got to remember I'm hearing impaired and I get everybody's names wrong. So I apologize to you bro if I got your name wrong. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing. Work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Now, I'll link his video down below. I'll link it down below so that people can go see for themselves what he has to say, see his results. And look, he's already catching some flack from trolls. And trolls, you guys need to understand, no matter what you think about me, even most of my detractors out there still admit my advice is on point. You can hate me as a person. You can think I am literally the most evil person to walk the face of the earth since Hitler. But that doesn't mean my advice is bad. Be realistic, guys, and you can't go thinking that you're going to change people's minds by being a silly troll and harassing people who actually thank me for them getting results from my free advice, because I'm not charging anything for it. I mean, I obviously make money off YouTube, but I'm not charging people for that advice. I give it to them free, and people can do with it what they will, and people are going to get results. You guys need to get over it. Get over it. But this subscriber, I'm actually going to give him some credit for something he said in his video. And I think this is kind of a take-home message here. He's like, man, I know I also follow Alpha Destiny, which I know Jason's not going to like. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Do you know why? Because sometimes we need these dissenting opinions. Just because I disagree with someone and I don't like what they have to say, or I think that a lot of what they're marketing is BS, I'm not the god of training. I don't know ever. I'm not 100% right all the time. I am not the final authority by any means on training. I mean, I have my perspectives, I have my experience, I have my own research. I have all of these things. But I can be wrong. And the other point to take home with that is that just because, let's say someone like Alex gets a lot of things wrong that I think he is basically BSing for marketing purposes, it doesn't mean that the other stuff he gets right isn't right. You know, it kind of comes back to that same point about people maybe disliking me and disliking some of my information, or disliking me as a person, and therefore saying that all of my information is bad and anyone who listens to it is stupid and a moron. Well, that's not true. And the same thing would be true of someone like Alex, right? Just because I disagree, seriously disagree with several of his points, and I think a lot of it is BS, what about the other 70 to 80% of stuff that he does get right? Well, that stuff's still correct. And if a person is trying to sift through all of this and they're hearing the different viewpoints and they're trying to find the truth, they probably do need to listen to some diversities of opinions. And that's the other thing. What you'll take with a lot of us out here, let's say you take me or Alex or Bugenhagen or Omar Issoff or Scott Herman or whoever, right? And you sort through and you start looking for where that truth is, and here's what you can probably assume is pretty good. If we have a bunch of us here and we're all saying different things, you know, we have 10 different points, but there's 6 or 7 of them that we all seem to universally agree upon, and we disagree on some other finer points, like things like partials, you know, above the knee rack pulls, right? We'll disagree on some of those things. We might disagree on time under tension. We might disagree on rep ranges, but you find a bunch of other core principles that we all agree upon. You can probably bet that those things that all 4 or 5 of us do agree upon are probably pretty solid. They may not be absolute truth, but they're probably going to be pretty close to the mark when everyone who's in the game is saying the same stuff, and we're arguing. We might only be arguing about the last 10 to 20% of details. It might be as much as an 80 or 90% overlap in our information. So what you can do is you can look at all of us who we might disagree, and we might be enemies, and we might hate each other. We might trash talk the other's personality or their ethical or moral views or spiritual views or whatever, right? But the things that we do agree upon are probably pretty well grounded in training experience and knowledge. They're probably pretty solid principles at that point. And so I don't have a problem with people listening to other people who I disagree with, because you know, you can look for that common truth between what all of us are saying. And I think that that can be a valuable tool in and of itself, even when you're listening to opposing viewpoints, because you can see what the different people are saying. So that's not a bad thing. I'm actually really not upset that he maybe listens to Alex. I might have said that in the past, that already when I listen to Alex is whatever, but that's not necessarily true. That's just me being a grumpy old man at times. And it's because I do see some things that I think are absolute charlatanry that he does, but it doesn't mean the other 80% of stuff he says isn't spot on. Right? So I can't knock someone who's looking for that truth. And just like with me, someone might come over to me and some people might say, oh, Jason's terrible and he gives worse advice on this or that. But then you look at the other 80 or 90%, and all the experts are going to look at that and be like, well, he's right on all that stuff. And you have to take it that way, guys. And I don't expect anyone to listen to every single thing that I say and accept it as gospel, because that's not a realistic view there. It's not a realistic view. But as far as Chandiwira goes, dude has less than 2 years of training experience. Less than 2 years. Now, granted, he's got a bigger frame, and he's not ultra lean, because he's like 6'2", I think he said. I think he's weighing over 250. So, I mean, he's a big boy overall. And he does MMA and everything else, but his strength training has been less than 2 years. And what he's pointed out, he's like, man, look at what I'm lifting. I got my videos up. I think he said he's got a 340 close grip bench, and granted it's touch and go, it's not meat legal, but I think he has said that he's closer to 325 on a pause, with a legit pause, right? I mean, that's phenomenal for his training experience. Now, people say, well, his squat and deadlift aren't quite up to par, and we'll get to that in a minute, but here's what it comes down to. The bench press is the most correlated to your body weight out of any of the big three. So if you have someone who's got a bigger frame, they're a bigger person, more body weight, the bench press is going to come easier to them. Like a lot of our ratios and standards are assuming people are average height and they're not carrying a lot of extra body weight. But when you're carrying a lot of body weight and you got a big frame, the bench press does come easier to you. You're going to go up on your bench faster than anything. So that can be an exception to the rule. It really can be. But as far as his other lifts, he's squatting high 300s. I went to look and see what he's doing. He says he's deadlifted 430, but I watched his 415 he got on camera, and it looked clean enough. I have no doubt in my mind that he can pull 430. I don't doubt that. So here's where he is with his training. He got into all the strength training because of his MMA. I believe, like a lot of guys do, who do MMA, they want to get stronger because it reduces injuries. It can help them a lot. And so he got over into the strength training, and he's been following all my advice. And he's making fantastic gains. The guy's making fantastic gains. He's talking about a natural guy, drug-free guy who's not genetically gifted, not necessarily trying to be ultra lean at this point, who's just building a strength base. And what he said in the video is that I will put, my results up against anyone who's been training like a year and a half. He goes, and I've been following Jason's advice, following the principles he puts out. It's free. He's not paying me anything for it. It's there for you guys. It's free. And he's already passed a 300 bench. He's past the 300 bench. He's squatting high 300. He's deadlifting over 400. And that's what I tell people. And yeah, some of that's because of his stature and everything, but I don't think the squats and deadlifts necessarily are, because I get a lot of people, even at lighter body weights, hitting those numbers, taking my advice, running my free programs. That's actually more common than people would think. You say that to people, and I tell them it shouldn't take you 2 or 3 years to get to a 400 deadlift. And people are like, oh, you're crazy, man, you're crazy. And it's like, no, just follow proper training principles. You'd really be surprised. And that's what he's done. He's come in, he's focused on the big barbell lifts, focused on the basics, focused on trying to have good form, progressive overload, moderately heavy to heavy weight. Just building that base up, and his base is coming along, and it's improving his overall strength. It's improving his ability as an athlete, which, is part of the take-home. All these guys come over and they're obsessed with, well, I want to train just to look a certain way. But it's like, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody wants to look better. It's not a bad thing to look better, guys. So I don't want people to think that I'm saying that, because everyone wants to improve on multiple levels. But what you need to start realizing is that a lot of this stuff that we do in the gym and our training carries over to other things. Maybe you do want to compete in something. Maybe you have a job that might be physically demanding in some way. There's a reason enough to train. You might have a job to where the physical demands of your job would benefit from it. Maybe you do some other activity, maybe MMA, maybe boxing, hell, maybe golf, maybe tennis. Some other recreational sport. But that strength and power that you gain in the weight room, if you do it right, because if you're going to go train, you might as well get all the benefits possible out of it, right? That's what it comes down to. It carries over to these other endeavors, and he's seeing those benefits, and he's giving the props. And here's what I want to say to a lot of you out there. Look, I catch a lot of trolling, a lot of hate, but more and more people are coming out because my outreach has grown massively. Everyone's seen me push past 100,000. They see my views. I'm past 66 million views. People are watching. People are following the advice. And the more of you out there, if you guys make a nice lengthy video discussing your gains, the appreciation for my advice that I give you, I'll start giving you guys shout outs just like I did here. I'll link your videos down below and other people can see your progress. Right? Other people can see your progress and you can show it off and you can be proud of those results. And if you're following my advice, even my free advice, I'm not charging for programs, and you're getting results, I'm going to shout you out. I'll shout you out. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.